Hello and welcome to the latest captaincy video and podcast of the 2022-23 season as we look ahead to game week 11. My name is Joe and joining me once again to pick Haaland as our default captaincy pick for the rest of the season and certainly this week is Tom Freeman, Fantasy Football Scout's Deputy Editor. Tom, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, Joe. This feels like a bit of the calm before the storm, doesn't it? Bear in mind that we've got a midweek round of fixtures next week. So it's about to get really busy, but looking forward to it.
Definitely. So as I was alluding to, it's no spoiler. It's going to be Haaland again for both of us. Another goal last time out. But there may be other players to consider. We don't want to rule anyone out. And is Liverpool really such a good fixture for Haaland, or will he completely humiliate them? We're going to look ahead to, we're going to look at the fixtures. We're going to look at the worst defences to target. We'll also look at how Haaland's stats are stacked up and who's kind of rivaling him for our attention, and also our top three picks as well. This will be useful for those just for players to bring in as well, your vice captain as well. And if you feel a bit maverick and don't want to go for Haaland, the best player in the universe, then you can certainly follow our advice. Just a reminder, thanks so much for those joining us in the live chat. Do press subscribe, do press that like button as well. FPL Sparta, Murphy, FPL Springbok, Big A, Rashidi, Saeed, and many more. Thanks so much for joining us. I hope we ease you through your captaincy decisions to captain Haaland here. So let's have a look at the fixtures. Well, I've actually got a picture of Conte up, the Spurs boss, because he's a happy man here, because he's looking at these fixtures and he's looking at Everton at home, and that, in terms of captaincy, could be the best move. Wolves, good fixture. Fulham, not sure we're going to go there for the captaincy, but Tottenham certainly there. And then looking down, Man City got the toughest fixture apparently, according to this fixture ticker, which is in dire need of a bit of a refresh, I think, especially with Liverpool's defence. But it's certainly a poor fixture for Liverpool there. So if you've got Salah, might be an idea not to captain him. He's certainly not in our thoughts. So yeah, Tom, looking at the fixtures, if you weren't to captain Haaland, who would be the best bet, do you think, looking at the fixtures?
Yeah, I think it's that Tottenham-Everton fixture I'll be looking at. Everton, they've got this new partnership at the back, Tarkowski and Cody, and it's actually done pretty well. But they were exposed against United at the weekend, who had quite a few chances against them, and we'll touch on it a bit more later when we look at the defensive data. But not quite as convinced by Everton's defence as the goals conceded column actually kind of indicates. So that's where I'll be looking. Other fixtures I like the look of. I think there could be goals in that Leicester Palace game. I worry about both of their defences. Palace have traditionally been a good defence, but they've got this new kind of setup with Eze and Olise playing inside, and I think that there could be a few goals in that one. Beyond that, Leeds Arsenal maybe. Leeds haven't got a win in 5, I think. And then there's a few good fixtures this week. You know, we look at West Ham going to Southampton, Fulham, Bournemouth, Wolves, Forest, but not for captaincy.
No, that's the thing. So we've got the Scoutcast tonight, and we've got lots of other videos like burning questions, etc. during the week. Gianni's team reveal as well, and Az's as well. So we'll discuss one of those issues there about players to bring in and those sorts of fixtures. But yeah, for the captaincy, really, there's a lot of caveats there, but there are options if you don't want to go with Haaland. So let's have a look at the worst defences. So I've got a picture. I used it on the thumbnail as well. The picture here is Haaland consoling Van Dijk after his 10th, maybe 11th goal whizzes past the hapless Dutchman and the Liverpool backline. I don't know, maybe. But I think this is actually taken from this picture from the Community Shield, where I think it was Van Dijk consoling Haaland. He was probably thinking to himself, perhaps telling him, my God, you're really good, and how did you not score in this game? But he certainly made up for it. On to these worst defences. Fulham, they are the whipping boys. Expected goals conceded of nearly 11. They have indeed conceded 11. They are as expectedly poor as they can be. Leicester are next. There's quite a difference there. Expected goals conceded just over 7. So there's a big gap. Fulham are in a bit of a league of their own in terms of just sheer awfulness. And then you've got Liverpool, and this bodes well for Haaland as well. So they've
Yeah.
expected to concede nearly 7 and have conceded 7. Then Leeds, you mentioned Leeds Arsenal fixture. They conceded 8, been marginally unlucky, but expected goals conceded nearly 7. Everton just below Leeds there, just conceded 3, and they've been lucky because they should have
Yeah.
conceded well over 6. This is for the last 4 matches, by the way. And then you've got Crystal Palace. You mentioned their defence, not very good at all. So Leicester and Crystal Palace could be goals there, as you said. Best defences, Manchester City. Expected goals conceded just over 2. So they've been unlucky to concede 4. They're the best. So looking at this, where does this put? Do you feel? I mean, you would feel confident about captaining Haaland anyway, but do you feel extra confident looking at these stats for Liverpool?
Yeah, well, Liverpool aren't in a great place, are they? I think they've conceded 6 over out of their last 2 matches against Brighton and Arsenal. They've got further problems with Alexander-Arnold and now Matip out as well. So you're probably looking at Gomez and Konate coming in. They've been trialing this new kind of system, this 4-4-2, 4-2-3-1. I think with Diaz being out as well, I don't expect that to stick. I think they'll go back to a 4-3-3. But yeah, I mean, they don't look secure at the moment. So had this fixture been last year, this might have been a week, even given Haaland's form, where we were looking at somebody like Kane. But the position that Liverpool are in at the moment, I think it's a bit of a no-brainer to continue and hand him the armband.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean I looked at that that Liverpool game, and I've accidentally or maybe deliberately I've made the Liverpool team name just that slightly bit smaller than the other teams, just to belittle them a little more. I'm going to pretend that's deliberate. But yeah, this makes me feel good about Captain Haaland.
Yeah.
And it would make me feel good about vice captaining a Spurs player, even
Yeah.
though, as you were pointing out, Everton defence, and it's been much talked about that they're conceding fewer goals than they and other teams should be, but perhaps they've been a bit lucky there.
Yeah, I mean, they went into game week 10 having conceded the fewest goals in the division. But
Yeah.
I think if you open up that table to cover the season, they've conceded 9.
Yeah.
Their XGC delta is minus 5.54. So that indicates that they've been a little bit fortunate. And I think United cut through them pretty easily, I thought, especially when Martial was on the pitch at the weekend. So that isn't really a concern. I'm not looking at their defence thinking avoid captaining a Spurs player this week. I think that they'll do well.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Well, let's have a look at a captaincy comparison. This puts, I mean, well, let's have a look. You'll see where Haaland is. He's at the top, obviously. So I've sorted this last 4 matches expected goal involvement, and this shows sort of where the others sit, in comparison to Haaland. So Haaland expected goal involvement of 4. That's basically a goal a match. He's in fact scored 6 and assisted a couple as well. So he's pretty amazing. Kane is not too shabby. 4 goals and an assist. Expected goal involvement as well. Well over 3. Jesus expected goal involvement of just over 3, and indeed he's been involved in 3, 2 goals and an assist. And then you've got the also rans who are also good as well. De Bruyne, 6 assists, so he is the guy currently who is assisting Haaland. Foden as well is in the mix. So De Bruyne expected goal involvement just under 3. Son expected goal involvement just under 2, but he's in fact scored 3 and he's got that assist. I mean, that brings into account that Leicester game as well. He did ever so well, but he's still an option. And I've cheekily put Solanke in because Fulham are in a league of their own in sheer awfulness at the back. And Solanke faces them. He's got his expected goal involvement over the last 4 matches is pretty poor. It's 8/10 or 4/5 of a goal. But he's in fact scored 1 and he's got 3 assists there. So take it which way you will. Overperforming what? But he's against the easiest defence on paper. So cheekily put him in there for the Mavericks out there. Looking at this, this looks quite good for Kane and Jesus, doesn't it? And what do you think of Son as well?
Yeah, I mean, Kane, we should say that he's currently flagged in FPL. He got a knock at Brighton quite late in the game, and he had some medical treatment. He was immediately subbed off. Now, Conte didn't mention it after the match. Kane said it was sore, but he didn't seem overly concerned. And Conte actually has a press conference this afternoon for the Champions League. So we'll get an update. I mean, I'm not predicting it to be bad. We should just make people aware that he is currently flagged. But if he's fit, which we expect him to be, he's in great form. He's got 8 goals in his last 8 games. He hasn't blanked since game week 1. So he's really consistent. And I like him a lot this week. I mean, Haaland is so good, it's very hard to look elsewhere. But I have given thought to captaining Kane because he's in my own team. And I don't dislike Son either. He got the assist at Brighton. He scored, but it was quite a narrow or tight offside call, wasn't it? I don't think he's playing at his really top level, but he's improving. And if Spurs stick with that kind of 3-5-2 that they used at Brighton, I think that's really good for Son, because he's really high up and he's alongside Kane. And I think, I mean, it's a big differential shout, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I think Kane is the obvious pick at Spurs, but I don't hate him.
A few people in the chat mentioning a few names of players that we haven't got in the list. Obviously, we can't list everyone because people have to get their magnifying glasses out to read every name there. So we put the sort of main captaincy contenders and a cheeky Solanke pick in there as well. And Nick asks about Tony. Where's Tony there? Well, I mean, for the captaincy, I don't think we'd go there compared to some of these ones.
They're not playing well, Brentford, at the moment, and they're not creating a lot. And if you take out that Tony hat trick, I think was it against Leeds, I think they've underwhelmed a bit.
Definitely. And Neil Cheeseman quite correctly points out, how come no Foden? Well, once again, yes, he is a great option because most of the goals at Man City, and there are a lot of them, are being scored or assisted by Haaland, De Bruyne or Foden. They're all in the mix. So, of course, yes, Foden naturally is a good captaincy shout. But is he a good captaincy shout in comparison to Haaland? Or indeed De Bruyne in terms of goal involvement? De Bruyne, 6 assists, that's a lot of points. It's a lot of bonus as well. I mean, I know Foden's doing well. But yeah, Foden, yeah. If you don't want to go for Haaland, Great
yeah,
option.
I mean, the Champions League minutes tonight, they play Copenhagen in a few hours. That will give us an indication as well of where we can go. And if Foden's benched again, or if Haaland's benched, obviously that's going to have an impact on what we're thinking. Foden's in my own team. I haven't considered him for captaincy. But, if he's playing on the left and he's up against the Joe Gomez and Konate kind of side, it's not, he might get some joy down there. But I do find it hard to put him on the same level as Haaland or De Bruyne at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely fantastic pick to own, and a player I'm definitely looking to get in for game week 13. Of course, they blank in game week 12. Just before we look at our top 3 captain picks, I just want to say the captaincy video and podcast changes next week. For 1 week only, because we've got midweek fixtures. So we're going to look ahead to game week 12, and we're going to do it on the Monday. So we're going to be here around 1 o'clock, I think, on the Monday. So we're a day early, and then we'll also consider we'll have a bit of a chat about game week 13 as well. But that also will be different because there's no Haaland. So I can't put picture of Haaland in. I'm gonna have to find pictures of other players, look at stats of other players, and I think it's gonna be a really interesting week. A lot of
absolutely. There's a lot of choice, and there's no obvious, given the way that Salah's been playing. The fact we haven't even mentioned him in this video says it all. And so I think there's a lot of options. Maybe some players which we don't talk about too often as well.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, in my own thoughts, I might as well say it now. In my own thoughts, I'm looking at. I've got Maddison in my team. He's a great option, I think, game week 12. So we'll talk about that. Trossard is a player I'm looking to get in. I'm also quite intrigued by Son getting. He's quite good, I hear, and he could be quite good against Manchester United. So lots of options there. But we'll talk about that next week. Game week 11. Let's have a look at our top 3 picks. Dun, 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 drum roll. Who can it be? Who is number 1? It's Haaland, obviously. Tom, go through your picks, please, first, and I'll talk about mine after that.
Yeah, top pick, no surprise. Haaland, best asset in the game, scoring for fun against a vulnerable Liverpool backline, who have got a lot of injuries. Number 2, Kane. A really good pick if you do think there is going to be a reaction from Liverpool. I don't think many people do, but if you do, then I think he's the best of the rest. Very consistent, and I'm not quite sure that Everton's defence is quite as good as their goals conceded figure suggests. And then 3, I've sneaked Son in there as well. that's the reason why he's in there. It's that Everton defence. I think his ownership's about 10%, so he's a nice little differential. And I'm backing Spurs to hit probably 2 or 3 past Everton, and if they do, it's a good chance Kane and Son are going to be involved.
Yeah, definitely. So mine's marginally different. Haaland's top, yeah, but he's amazing, and Liverpool defence are terrible. So I mean that's obvious. Harry Kane would be my next one to go for. It's not in my team, but if I could pick any players, I think he would be. He's been so consistent so far. As you were saying, and I've gone for Jesus as well. Another player massively consistent. I removed him on my wild card. A lot of other people who've wild carded have done that.
Yeah.
And he is the biggest killer to my rank every week.
Yeah.
He's nearly 60% owned. He is scoring or being rather involved in goals almost on a weekly basis. And he's facing Leeds this week, so I think he looks like a really good shot for the captaincy. So if you do own him, get your vice captaincy on him. I think if you don't have Kane as well, because I mean Haaland would be the best captain, but I like Jesus. Maddison, you mentioned the Crystal Palace and Leicester fixture. Maddison is a good to a lesser extent, Zaha could be a good captaincy.
Goals.
But I think I prefer Maddison in that one. Give Palace a taste of their own medicine as a Brighton fan. Let someone else score a low XG last minute free kick against them. Yeah, see how they
Maddison's your man. Madison's your man for that, isn't he?
Definitely.
Yeah, it should be a good game.
Okay, well, we've reached the 17-minute mark, which is amazing considering everyone's going to captain Haaland. But I hope we can food for thought about other captaincy shouts as well, and also players to get in. Do press that subscribe button. Make sure you keep up to date with all our videos and podcasts. Also, do press that like button as well. It really helps us out and shows your appreciation of us chatting about captaining Haaland for this long. But so thanks a lot for your time. Tom, thanks so much for joining me. Good luck with your decision to captain Haaland, and good luck with mine. And I look forward to his 200 plus effective ownership this week to do nothing to my rank.
Brilliant. Cheers, Joe.